YouTube, what's good? It's your boy, Paul Harris, aka the producer. Hey, if this is your first time tuning in, go ahead, hit the doggone notification. Well, hit the doggone subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Every time I post up new content, listen, people, I titled this show King James, the basketball player, King James, the author of the Bible, and then I actually really put in, I got next, right? Contrary to what LeBron James, King James, the basketball version of King James actually really put out the other day about the tweet about the so-called shooting that happened up there in Christopher Columbus, Ohio. Yes, I did say Christopher Columbus, Ohio. The guy that was actually really blamed or actually really taking credit for actually really discovering America, or what is actually really now called America. See how they work? So, about another case, everybody know about the shooting or the so-called shooting, Hollywood that happened a couple of days ago, right? Then King James actually really came out and said, "You're next," to that police officer. Or once again, what the news media, or as what Professor Griff would call the multi-European devils in action, right? What they actually really call them. But now that I already got all that out the way, let me just go ahead and actually really put out there the reason why I'm calling this King James, the basketball player, King James, the author. I got next, because here's the deal. What a lot of people may not understand or may not know, for that matter, right? That the only reason why King James, the author of the number one selling book, right? You know, fuck what you heard. Just know that year in and year out, the Bible is the number one seller, despite what you actually may hear from whoever actually really rates uh, how many, whatever book is being sold, if they're actually really calling it the number one bestseller, at that particular time. But with the King James version of the Bible, the King James version of the Bible is number one seller. You know, it sells so much that people don't even mention it no more. So here's the deal. So you got to ask yourself this question. So how did that actually really come about? Well, it's quite simple, because here's the deal. A lot of people out there do not know that there was a lot of other Bibles out there prior to what King James put out. King James knew that. So what did King James do? King James went out and knocked off everybody else. Because what a lot of people don't understand about the Holy Bible and the author of King James, the first page that you open, once you go, like this, once you go get a Bible, whether it was actually really passed down to you, or you actually really went to one of these bookstores and actually really bought you a Bible, the very first page says this: Holy Bible, King James Version, which means this is his version, meaning this is how I saw it, or that's how he saw it. That's what a lot of people don't. That's what a lot of people get. You talk about the wires of communication getting crossed up. That's the reason right there, right? But put like this: once you have the financial backing that King James had, which I actually really want to say that it was William Shakespeare at the time. Now, like I say, I actually really got to go back and look at my research. But here's the deal: I can sit up here and tell y'all anything and everything, and it's like what I always tell y'all. Look, don't always take my doggone word for everything. Go do the research yourself. And then if I was right, then hey, you go ahead, You come back, do this show again, give me a thumbs up, whatever, pass the word around. Plain and simple. So with the financial backing, right? And you knock off everybody that have their own version of how the greatest story ever, right? Anything more of what it is that you actually really trying to talk about, you're gonna get that out of there. And for the most part, it's not just with the Bible, it's with every book possible, especially the so-called history books or his story or their story, right? No matter how you want to actually really want to slice it. So when you look at it like that, that's King James, the author. Now let's look at King James, the basketball player. This guy, he didn't actually really, he'd have been bouncing around the league forever and a day, right? But I'm also reminded of a one verse or one chapter, which actually really fits where he's really actually at right to this day. He plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, right? So go back and read either Revelation, the 12th chapter or the 13th chapter, where they actually really talk about the war in heaven. It was Yahweh and his angels and Lucifer and his angels. The war in heaven. We already know who lost. So when Lucifer got cast out, he drew a third, his tail drew a third of the angels with him onto the earth plane. Right? And just know that the third of the angels actually really fell in what is now Los Angeles, or the Lake of Fire. Los Angeles, mind you, Los Angeles, Los Angeles. See where I'm going with this? Right? And then Las Vegas. Meaning, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Right? So, you know, for the most part, like say, I know my man, Zachary Hubbard, over on his channel. I'm pretty sure he already talked about it in his own little way. Now it's my turn. I mean, I don't know what the hell he said or how he said it, but I'm pretty sure when you run that same common ground, you tend to actually really say the similarities of what it is that you're talking about are there. He may actually really do it with the numbers. I'm actually really just come out and just tell you on what's going on, on how it is. So in either case, anybody that actually really knows anything about the Lake of Fire, right? You being burned up, the heat is bothering you, right? So it's just for the simple fact you may get kind of disoriented because of the heat, the flames that's actually really tearing into your ass. Then yeah, you might actually really come out and say something like what King James said, right? But it's just like what I told you. King James, the author, did it. So what makes y'all think that King James, the basketball player, wouldn't do the exact same thing? I'll wait. And you know, just for the simple fact, I know like a lot of the stuff what I actually really talk about on my channel, right? I know what a lot of y'all will say. Y'all be like, well, damn, you know what? Apostle Harris, we really enjoy listening to you. But for the life of us, we actually really can't figure out what the hell it is that you're actually really talking about. Right? And then I'll be the first one to tell you. I don't like comparisons. Or let's just say that I don't like comparisons towards me. Do not compare me to anybody else, right? I'm my own individual. But the thing about it though is this, right? When you look at King James, the author, King James, the basketball player, and what King James, the basketball player, actually really did, or what he won on the actual King James birthday, which again, go back, go back and look at what my man Zachary Hubbard said about LeBron James on one of those championships that he actually really won on on King James, the author of the #1 seller, said. And that's the only reason why he actually really won that championship, because again, whatever the chapter with the war in heaven that happened there in Revelation is either the 12th chapter or the 13th chapter. I can't call it off right now, but just know LeBron James and King James, those two individuals, they was caught up when Lucifer acts like when he got cast out, he drew a third of the angels with him, and then some went to what is now Los Angeles, and some went to what is now called Las Vegas. Las Vegas, Vegas nerve, right? What stays in Vegas? Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. They're like say every professional sport ever is rigged through Vegas, right? And then it's just for the simple fact, if you don't actually really adhere to what Vegas is trying to tell you, then guess what? Your ass finna go to the Lake of Fire or be a Los Angeles Laker or a Los Angel. And then y'all wonder why he got that tattoo on the back of his back, talking about the chosen one. Yeah, you was the chosen one to get your ass tossed in the motherfucking Lake of Fire. That's why you there in Los Angeles or Los Angeles. Once again, Los Angeles, Lake of Fire. That's why the hell you said what you said, because you a lost motherfucker. Plain and simple. So the thing about it though, people, is this. Once you actually really look at this stuff for what it really is, then and only then you can actually really be like, oh, okay, now I see where Apollos Harris is coming from. Or anybody else that actually really talks, or that talks the same language that I talk, right? So, in other news, these rappers, they drop it like flies. It's almost like somebody took a can of Raid and they sprayed it in the house or in the music studio. It was DMX. Then there was this other guy, Rob Black or Black Rob or whatever. Now it's Shock G. And it's just for the simple fact, here's something else that you actually really want to really stop and take in consideration. All of these guys were in their 50s. 5'5", 555 feet, Washington Monument. Do I actually really need to go any further than that? So again, I may seem like I'm like all over the place, right? But then again, I've been doing this for some years now. I actually really think I'm into my 5th year or 4th year. I mean, whatever. Yeah, my 5th year. Matter of fact, I think this is my 5th year because I actually really started in April of 2016. So yeah, this is my 5th year on this platform. So hey, look, I mean, great the fact, yeah, it's a slow process. Only got 379 subscribers, but hey, it's just as long as you guys are actually really supporting me or whatever, I will stay on this channel. I will continue to actually really I'll actually really continue to put out that good shit like nobody else in the YouTube universe, because I'm just here to tell you, ain't nobody finna put it out. Ain't nobody finna put out no information like your boy does. I'm telling you how it is, because the thing about it though is this, Somebody could actually really put it out there for you. I'm gonna actually really break that shit down to you in Barney terms. So, with that being said, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dan, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your pawpaw. Motherfucker next door, cross street, round the corner. Paulus Harris, aka the Medusa. Till next time, people.